I want to thank you all for doing this today. How excited are you all to be here?
Well,
we're not very excited.
we haven't been together like this in a long time, so it's a lovely experience.
We've had remnants, we've had little clusters of us performing at certain things, but we haven't all been together. And it's a shame that Barb can't be here.
Let's give a shout out to Barbara Walsh because she's working.
She's actually working up in Massachusetts. Unlike the rest of us.
Yes, we're free.
So I have to tell you all that for me as an audience member, seeing Falsettos was a life-changing experience. So I want to ask for all of you how it was life-changing for you as actors being a part of this. Who wants to start?
Go Steve.
Chip is a senior member.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Actually,
Are they younger than you two guys? As I recall,
When you
we've
combine
had horrible fights about.
Yes, you're younger than what was put together.
We've had like astounding arguments about how old each one of us is, because I was 38 for at least 20 years. And it led to some disagreements about like, well, then how old am I? Kinds of discussions. It was everything.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, basically, my connection with Bill and then Lapine actually came on board when we did March of the Falsettos. But a bunch of us have done In Trousers, which preceded the things that became Falsettos. Does that make
Chip
any
was
sense?
actually the first person to play Marvin.
I was actually Marvin.
And I just
then
copied pretty much what Chip did when we did Falsetto.
Yeah, and I was actually
I
livid.
Janet Metz.
What? Exactly. And you were Janet Metz.
Exactly.
And when Rupert came on board, I remember saying, like, wait a minute, I'm livid. I'm furious, right? Because I was Marvin. But then I ended up I was Mendel. Nothing to say. How did it change my life?
Yeah, how did it
Are we
change
still
your life?
on that?
Yes, we're still on that. We're waiting for your answer.
Here's what happened to me. This is how I got on board this whole thing. I was driving to JFK, and I was going to LA. I was moving out of New York, and because I wanted to be on television. I don't know. So I got to the terminal, to the desk to check in for a flight, and there was a message from my agent saying there was a show in New York casting. Called In Trousers, and would I come back? Would I consider not going to LA, getting on the flight, come home, and if I come home, there'll be a tape waiting for me of Bill Finn, music, singing songs from In Trousers. And
That was 8-track tape then?
Yeah. So it was a completely life-changing moment, because I came back, I listened to this tape, I thought it was fantastic. This was In Trousers, and that's how I got to know Finn, and it changed my life. I probably would have been in LA, being an agent or something. Who the hell knows? I don't know. Would have disappeared and been selling cars. I have no idea what would have happened.
Heather, for you.
Oh boy. Well, the funny thing is, when I auditioned for Falsettoland, which was the sequel, I guess you call it, to March of the Falsettos, I really knew nothing about it. I had worked with Chip prior to that, because we did Merrily We Roll Along with James Lapine, and so we were friends, so I knew Chip was doing it. And I had been on a national tour of the dreadful Neil Simon play Rumors. I shouldn't say that, but it's an awful play. But it was a fun. Sorry, but it was a wonderful experience. I had been gone for 6 months. I came home in the summer of 1990, and my agent said, "We want you to go in and audition because James, I guess, has to see me." And so I didn't really know anything about it. I'd never seen March of the Falsettos. I'd heard about it. And I auditioned for James and Billy, and which was always a treat, because Billy's so eccentric and interesting. So I went in and I sang, and they said, I don't even know what I sang for my audition, but I think they asked me to learn some stuff. But I actually knew I got it right away. And the ironic thing was that in the fall of that year, in 1990, I was going to go back out on the road in Rumors, because I was making a lot of money. And so I was cast as Dr. Charlotte, the lovable lesbian from next door, one of them, thanks to Mary Testa, because she was supposed to do it. So she, for some reason, wasn't available. And began one of the most extraordinary periods of my life. It was such an amazing summer. Got to work with these three guys. Carolee wasn't with us yet. Jonathan, you were probably, I don't know how old you were then, but. And at the end of the summer, they decided to move it to the Lortel. And so I was married at the time, living in Austin with my husband, and I had to make a decision whether to go on the road and make money to put towards a house that we may buy, or maybe we're going to buy. But the marriage ended, so that was good. So I just said, I cannot, how can I have to take art over money. And so we moved to the Lortel, and so it changed my life. No, he didn't go.
I didn't go.
He took the money.
That's why Lonnie Price is on the cover of the Falsettoland.
But
Just want to point that out.
I have to say I feel very blessed because I've been in 2 groundbreaking musicals. The first was Hair, and then Falsettos, and Falsettos was truly a life-changing experience because it was such an extraordinary piece and communicated so many wonderful things to a vast audience of varied kind of individuals.
You were the youngest. I mean, what was it? You were 11?
I was 11, yeah.
So what was it like for you joining this family of Falsettos?
Well, I mean, obviously these kids had been sitting with it for a while. It was my first go with it. But I have to say that the way that it changed my life most significantly was it set the bar really high. Every production that I've done since, I've searched for the same kind of family that I found with Falsettos, and I've yet to find it. It was a beautiful experience during the time that I had, and it was really meant a lot to me as an actor. And it's something that I think I was very fortunate to be a part of when I had the opportunity to do it. That being said, it's very easy to age out of that little window for a male. Between the ages of 11 and 13, and I remember going out to LA to do the understudy of Jason for a little while they were finding someone else, and my voice was changing. So I actually was only able to do it for about a week before I started sounding like Froggy, and then all of a sudden I sound like this now.
Yeah, and Carolee, for you?
Well, I was kind of late to the party because they had already done March and Falsettoland, and Janet, I think, was offered the job and wasn't available because she was doing Joseph or something. Yeah.
Garth Drabinsky wouldn't let
so
her out of the contract.
Yeah. So that was my good fortune. I'm sure she, was not happy about that decision. But I had seen the show off Broadway and tried to imitate what she did because I thought it fit so perfectly into the tapestry of the show, and I knew that if these guys were all doing it, they would need someone in that slot to be, a similar type. So I did the best I could to kind of emulate her. And then, I played catch up because everyone had done it before and knew these characters inside and out. And I was just sort of, climbing behind them trying to catch up. So
it didn't look that way.
Totally. Stephen, for you, because you and Michael, you guys were all there from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So life-changing for you.
I think it was a game changer, not only for us as individuals and our careers, but also as a show. I think it was a game changer as a show. Totally sung through. A gay protagonist. Other than the normal Heart, I think we were like the first show of its kind, certainly first musical. And of all the shows that I've done, this one probably is talked about the most because it really changed people's lives, a lot of people's lives. And I think that's what affects me so deeply about the show, or the people even today who come up to me and go, "You have no idea what that show did for me."
Yeah. Michael, for you.
Well, just to Steve's point, that's so true. I've never done anything, and though I'm still younger than Chip, I've been doing this. But I truly have never done any show where I've had that same experience, where people, all these years later, still say, I saw Falsettos on Broadway and it changed my life.
Yeah.
You can't say that about a lot of shows. And it's interesting because, yes, the three of us were there at the very beginning with March of the Falsettos. And the three of us at the very beginning, if I can remember correctly, at one point during rehearsal, at least I know you and I looked at each other saying, "What are we doing? What is this?" Because all we're doing is bitch. We were truly.
What the hell is going on?
And of course, Chip had done In Trousers, so he knew Bill's work. I had heard when they offered me the job, they gave me your album of In Trousers. So I listened to it.
It's really good. Really good.
It was very good.
You know why the tempos are so fast?
Why?
Because it was never really done that fast. The tempos are fast because they tried to cram all the
Yeah.
music on
Yeah,
an
yeah.
LP.
It's like 43 minutes or
Right, it's
something
like
on
there
each
was a
side,
limited
whatever it
time.
is. Yeah.
It's also, you know, the tempos are off the charts fast.
But initially, I kept thinking, like, what are we doing? What is this? It is like, because Bill's kind of musical vocabulary was not like anything I'd ever heard before. You know,
It really did change the landscape
Yeah.
It
of
really
musical
did.
theater
I
in
mean,
the
it was
same
like-
way that Hamilton did
Yeah.
Right.
for this next generation.
Sure.
It really changed the style of
yeah.
what
I think
came
both
after
his
it.
lyrics and his music, I think, really changed the whole, landscape.
I mean, it just
of
seems
music.
so. Some of the lyrics just were so bizarre to me. Like, where is he going with this? What is the, And Lapine is really the one who I think, if I remember correctly, is the one who kept saying, "I think there's something here." That's all he said.
Yeah, let's talk
Because
about
because I remember as I coming to Lapine going
Yeah.
like, "Is this going to be any good?" I mean, seriously, I feel like
Yeah.
it's all craziness, and I don't know if I get it. And he says, "Just keep going," and I think we have something. And then, of course, when we put it all together on Broadway, it became, I think, so powerful.
Yeah, let's talk about that because you three were there from the beginning. I mean.